Nigel Davenport, who he was a film actor and appeared in the West End of London in the theater. And he was there on the set, and he started his first week doing the voice of Hal off camera for us. And then Stanley said, no, this isn't going to work, too British. He said, let's worry about it in post-production, after the film is over. So he turned to his assistant director. Now, 2001 was filmed in its entirety just outside of London. So the crew was completely British, with a few exceptions. And this was the voice of Hal for us.
His name was Derek Cracknell.
Yeah, Derek Cracknell was the name of the assistant director. It went like this. Di.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'll just put it this way. I'm happy for him. He probably lives in the back of his car. But, well, there's a reality to life. But I'm sorry he's so uptight. You know what I'm saying? He could come out and have some laughs with us, and because we've traveled all over the world with this film, and it's been a great time, hasn't it?
It's been fabulous.
We've been in Australia, Japan, Europe. I mean, last year we toured all through Europe. I mean, we just had a hell of a great time, and I'm so happy we did the job, and it was a wonderful time, and we did it. And I'll tell you one thing that happened to me on the picture, and then we'll get into questions. How's that? Did you want to have something to say over there, man? I mean,
no, I'm just here to look pretty.
What's your name?
I'm Jack May, and I'll be here with the questions.
So Jack, we met you yesterday. Nice to see you. Have a good night?
It was all right.
Yeah, how you doing? Was she cooperative? Yeah, okay. Well, let's give Jack a hand. What the hell he's saying. In the movie, Keir walks down the hub, and then he walks up to me, and I'm up there eating, and everybody goes, how did Keir walk up that hill like that? I mean, how did he walk up against gravity? Well, here's what happened. The camera's it's a wheel. The camera's in a fixed position at the top of the wheel with me. I'm harnessed, I'm upside down. On the first day, I'm up there, and then the idea is that Keir comes down the hub, and then he steps out on the centrifuge, then,
First I get my meal on the tray.
Yeah, you get your meal, and then he starts walking up to me, and Lynn runs a rheostat on the centrifuge, and it begins to turn, and the camera and I, being in a fixed position, we come down to him, but when you project it, it looks like he walked up to it.
Yeah, it was an optical illusion. I just stood in place like this, and they revolved Gary down to me until the table was even with me. I just sat next to him, but it looked like I walked up tied down.
The only difference is he didn't have on a squirrel uniform.
The remarkable thing about the film is that...
Wait, I might just finish.
Okay, go ahead.
So, you know, what can I say? He's captain of the ship. I have to do what he says. Anyway, so the first time we do it, Stanley said, and Stanley was a very cool guy. He was really like a cool guy. And he said, all right, Lockwood, on action, just start eating. And so I've got this fork. And you got to remember, down below is this way, not this way. I'm upside down. So I take the fork and I stick it in the yellow stuff. Yellow, green, and blue, was it?
Something like that.
And I stick it in the yellow stuff, and the whole plate, the whole dish just peels out of the plate and goes 65 feet down. Talk about a Rorschach test. I've often thought 2001 was a Rorschach test for people. Well, I have to tell you, I remember looking down like that, and the entire floor was just a mess like that. Anyway, that was day one. It took a couple of days to finally get the shot, but eventually we got it because I just ate some of I hate oatmeal too, even English cut oats I hate. And now I had to eat oatmeal with red dye in it. But anyway, we got the shot.
The other thing I just was going to say is that it's amazing when still seeing the show, the film, and how remarkable it is in so many ways to think that there is not one frame that is photographed using computer-generated special effects. There were no computer, not one, even though the computer played a major role. Everything you saw in the film was done mechanically, one way or the other. So having said that, any questions? Did you want to have them?
Come on.
Go ahead,
No, we'll let him go.
Yeah.
We'll let him go.
Well, there's that many of us here.
What?
We're not that many here.
Well, they went through the trouble of putting him in the stairs.
Yeah, I've got to use it.
This guy's doing back-breaking labor.
I hope no one has a bad knee who has a question.
You know what we should do to save time? Why don't anybody who wants a question maybe line up and they can take their turn and ask a question rather than
Yeah, go ahead.
just an idea. If you're thinking about a question or at any point when you do think of a question, why don't you just wander up the stairway? Okay.
Well, first of all, good afternoon, gentlemen. It's great to have you here. And Keir, happy birthday. I know your birthday's on Sunday, I believe.
That's right, thank you.
We share
You
a
know
birthday.
I was going to call him. I was going to call him this morning and have my partner and I and a couple of us who were over at some La Quinta motel, and we were going to. So why are we all together saying happy birthday? Oh, come on, you got to take something. Happy birthday to you. Happy
Where's the cake?
birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Keir. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you.
Actually, in the film, Hal said that to me, didn't he? Happy birthday.
Yeah.
So I suppose my question was, I know the film took a long time from the time it started to the time it was released. I'm not sure how much of that you were involved in during the principal photography. But I know there was a lot of long hours, and as you said, it took a couple days just to get that one take down. I was wondering if that crazy production schedule had any sort of negative effects or strain on your personal and social lives during that period?
It did me. The producer of Dirty Dozen wanted me to play the role that John Cassavetes got the Academy Award for. And he kept going to Stanley saying, okay, can I get a release date like in a month? Stanley wouldn't release it.
Yeah, they were filming at the next soundstage next to us.
And he said he rearranged his schedule so that I could come in 3 weeks later. And I'm going, it was a huge job and a giant hunk of money, considering I made very little for 2001. You know, when my agent called me and told me I got the Kubrick film, he told me what I was going to get, which was very little, actually. And I said, now, what we should do is offer him that money, so I'm definitely getting the job. That's the way I felt about Kubrick.
I actually enjoyed my stay in London. It didn't bother me that it stayed so long because I got a chance to really enjoy swinging London that much longer than on an average film.
Yeah, they used to sell trash cans with the English flag on them.
Yeah. It actually took, I don't remember when the film actually started shooting. The first thing to be shot was all the stuff to do with the scientists finding the monolith on the moon and all the stuff on the space station. That was done first. In fact, I think the space station was the last thing to be done before we started work, and the very last thing to be shot in the film was after we were finished, when they shot the Dawn of Man sequence, which happens to be my favorite part of the film. Maybe because it's the one I had least expectations about. I had no idea what it was going to be like, and it just blew me out of my seat when I saw that, the opening of the film.
I can also add one little thing to that, and that is that Stanley and Arthur C. Clarke started walking around Manhattan discussing pieces of the story and the concept, and then they would part their ways and then come back years later or months later. And so from the time that started until we actually arrived in your neighborhood theater was 10 years. So that's how long it takes to make a good wine. That's how long it takes to make a good film.
Any other questions?
And thanks to Dave for that question, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Here's a gentleman.
Hi, I just have to say it's a privilege to be talking to you. 2001 meant a lot to me. I saw it when it first came out in Cinerama. But I have so many questions. I'll start with one, which I think may apply to Keir more than Gary. But when you were first cast and you were learning what the story was, I don't even know if there was a script that you had, but did you have problems sort of grasping what was happening to you and what was going on? Because it's such a, tough movie to grasp, really.
Well, I'll just give you the short version, as short as I can. I was making a film in London in the spring and summer, spring of 1995. I believe that 2001 started filming in the fall.